Honestly, it was the plan all along for me to play professionally. And funny enough, it didn't seem like I had very good planning because I was 15, 16 years old and still hadn't played in high school.
This is RobertAnthony Cruz, better known as Coach RAC. And in 2021, he went viral for surprising his dad with the news that he got signed by the Washington Nationals.
Oh my God, congratulations, son.
This one video earned Coach RAC 150,000 followers overnight. But then just 8 months later, it all came crashing down.
What was going through your head the moment you found out you got released? It was like, okay, I kind of wish that almost never happened. Like, it was cool that it happened, I guess, but I kind of want to move on from it.
But now Coach RAC is one of the most popular baseball players in the world, even though this was never his plan.
Okay, I don't want to be that baseball TikToker. I actually wanted to be like a Minecraft YouTuber when I was younger.
So how did he get here? And what was RAC's secret to going from a homeschooled kid with no college offers to becoming one of the most recognizable faces in the entire sport? Because there was a specific strategy he used to gain millions of followers and fulfill his lifelong dream of playing in sold-out MLB stadiums.
I was like, okay, I have one shot at this playing in Nats Park. My dad's gonna get to walk me up to home plate. Like, it's okay if I strike out. Like, that happens, you know?
That ball is annihilated. RobertAnthony Cruz, walk-off home run.
But the same thing that got him here is also the reason his days as a Savannah Banana might be numbered.
I'm still kind of deciding what I'm gonna do next year.
This is the story of the unlikely rise of Coach RAC, presented by Smackin' Sunflower Seeds. RobertAnthony Cruz was born in Southern California on September 16, 1998 to Ron and Cynthia. Robert was the youngest of two, and both he and his sister were homeschooled by their mother for most of their lives. Their homeschooling, however, didn't stop a young Robert from taking an interest in baseball, where he found himself on his first All-Star team at the age of 13, coached by former Major Leaguer Kip Gross. It was here that Robert's passion for baseball would become cemented forever, when Gross told him, if you ever want to play professional baseball, you have a chance. Which on the surface seems like a crazy thing to say to a 13-year-old, but a young Robert took it to heart.
I wasn't necessarily the greatest player when I was younger. I was okay. I was always one of the better players, but I was never exceptional, and I was kind of a late bloomer. I didn't even play high school ball until my junior year of high school, second semester. I was like, hey mom, like if I'm gonna play in college and beyond, I probably should go to school. So I went to Arrowhead Christian Academy and went there for my senior year for baseball, and was there part-time just so I could play ball. And did that and just happened to be in the right place at the right time. I didn't have any offers for college until the end of my senior year, and ended up playing against a team who's the first baseman, his dad coached at UC Riverside, which was small D1 by my house. And so yeah, I ended up getting recruited by them. And once I got my foot in the door and was like playing Division I baseball, and I didn't do particularly well, but that also opened up the door for other schools, and that's how I wound up at Biola University.
Sure. What makes you think as a junior that you even had the chance to play college baseball? Like what even spawned that thought where you're like, you know what, if I want to play college baseball, how do you even get to that point?
Oh, great question. Honestly, it was the plan all along for me to play professionally. And funny enough, it didn't seem like I had very good planning because I was 15, 16 years old and still hadn't played in high school. But yeah, that was the goal for me. So I was still training and you know, playing in local rec leagues and, you know, travel ball, whatever, when I could. And I was still training with my dad all the time, and I didn't really exactly know how I was going to make it, but that was still a goal that I was working towards through those years. And then, yeah, God just opened the doors my junior and senior year to have a great coach who taught me how to play a lot better. And then, yeah, like last minute, right place, right time. I was very fortunate. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Now, this coach at Arrowhead Christian turned out to be none other than Kip Gross, whom RAC credits with teaching him everything he knows about hitting. And it showed, because his junior year, RAC hit .483, scoring 19 runs with 17 extra base hits, only to follow it up his senior year with an insane .658 batting average, 44 runs, and 29 extra base hits. This was good enough to land him section MVP and lead Arrowhead Christian to its first ever state championship in 2019. However, it wouldn't stay that easy for long. As RAC mentions, he opted to play Division I baseball less than 20 minutes from his parents' house. But immediately after stepping onto campus, he remembers feeling totally outmatched. His freshman year, RAC only recorded 5 hits, with a .172 batting average. Not to mention the UC Riverside Highlanders went a disappointing 16-36. But RAC kept working with his old coach, Kip Gross, and after transferring to a Division II school called Biola University just south of LA for the 2019 season, his hard work started to pay off. In his first year with the Eagles, RAC started all but one game, finishing 2019 with a .275 average and an all-conference selection at second base. Then in 2020, RAC started the first 14 games leading his team in hits, total bases, home runs, and doubles. And after what he describes as one of the best games of his life, where he hit 2 doubles and a home run, RAC remembers checking his phone and receiving a message from the Washington Nationals. They were interested in potentially selecting him in the upcoming 2020 MLB Draft. And they weren't the only ones. Several other teams reached out in the coming weeks as RAC went on to have one of the best starts to a season in his entire life. That was until it was cut short due to COVID-19. This not only impacted RAC's junior season, but it also meant that the MLB Draft shrank from 40 rounds down to 5, which for a guy who expected to be selected somewhere in the 30th round meant he had no hope of getting drafted. So RAC returned to Biola in 2021 for his senior season, where he led the team in average, OPS, runs, hits, home runs, RBIs, walks, and stolen bases. But even that wasn't good enough to get him drafted, which got him thinking about another potential career he had always thought about pursuing, even if it didn't seem obvious right away. One of the most underrated stories in all of sports has nothing to do with any specific play or athlete, but rather 2 18-year-olds in their college dorm looking to take on a 100-plus-year-old industry. If you've been on the internet at all in the past 5 years, you've definitely seen a player on your favorite baseball team try smacking seeds, and every time they basically respond the same way.
Yeah, these are good.
They're good?
Yeah, these are really good.
Yeah, let's go. 1 through 10, what do you think?
1 through 10, 9, 4.
That's a solid review.
But what you probably didn't know is that the founders, Cole and Brian, started Smackin' by selling 5 bags a day out of their dorm. And ever since, they've never taken a dollar of outside investment. Today, they're the top-selling food and beverage brand on TikTok, and they're constantly dropping new flavors. However, my favorite is still dill pickle. And now you can support this channel as well as Smackin' Seeds when you use code BANANAS15 to get 15% off your next order. Just click the top link in the description or go to smackinsunflowerseeds.com, use code BANANAS15 and get 15% off your next order. Thanks to Smackin' for sponsoring this video, and now back to Coach RAC.
Was there any part of you while you're playing in school, even as you're going early on in that professional journey, where you thought, maybe I should put this on TikTok? Was that ever a thought for you?
Yeah. No. I did.
Yeah.
I was interested in content in the sense that I had a photography page, and I was like really into photography in high school. And so I would do wedding photography. Like I shot a lot of weddings in high school, and that was kind of like my way of making money. And I did senior shoots and family photos. So I was really passionate about cameras. I loved it. I knew Adobe well, like Lightroom. And so that's what I was working with. And also I was super interested in computers. Like I would, build, I was homeschooled. So, we had interesting hobbies that I would like build computers and play Minecraft. And so I actually wanted to be like a Minecraft YouTuber when I was younger. So I had that little passion and kind of had it tucked away. Once I started playing baseball, it was like, okay, I don't want to be that baseball TikToker. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it is somewhat frowned upon when you get into college and, pro ball, you get bullied a little bit. I'm sure Jackson can attest to that. So, I didn't want anything to do with content once baseball seemed to be the career. And then when I got signed by the Nationals, I had that video with my dad blow up. And after that point, the thought is in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, now I have a few 100,000 followers on social media. And now the barrier to entry doesn't seem so big. So at that point I considered it, but still didn't do it because I knew that the organization, the Nationals, kind of frowned upon it.
RAC posted this now viral video on July 13th, 2021. The same day he was signed by the Washington Nationals as an undrafted free agent. This meant not only did he receive an invite to spring training, but overnight he became a national news sensation. But without a social media background, why did he even think to post the video in the first place?
It was kind of against the odds. It was my senior year. The year before that was COVID. And so the likelihood of me getting signed was already low. I knew my dad was probably watching the draft tracker, and I was a free agent signed right after the draft. So I wanted to have a special way to tell my dad. I already shared a cool moment with my mom, and I was like, you know what, Mom, you should record this. I think it'd be cool. So we filmed that, like me just getting my dad's reaction to me getting signed. And I didn't even think to post it till later that day. I was like, oh, that'd be like a cool video, I think. So I just posted it to TikTok, and then, yeah, that just blew up. But I had no intentions of it blowing up or anything like that. So
what was your reaction to seeing, did you post it and go to bed and then wake up and it held these views? Or what was your reaction to seeing how well it did?
Yeah, well, I posted it at like 5 p.m. or so, and I went to go hang out with my friends because we were kind of celebrating me getting signed. So we went out on a boat and like hung out. And then I remember I didn't have service on the boat. We got off the boat and like I checked my phone, and at that point it had like 150,000 views, which was way more than anything else I ever had at that point. I was like, oh my gosh, guys, this is crazy. And like we checked back like a half hour later, and it was like almost to 1 million. And we're like, whoa, okay, this is blowing up. And then, yeah, by the next day, it was like I was getting phone calls by every news source ever. And yeah, it was a wild week.
But that feeling proved to be short-lived, because just 2 weeks into the following year's spring training, in March 2022, RAC was cut. He recalls driving back home from Florida to California, feeling unsure about what he was going to do next. But to make matters even worse, he now had hundreds of thousands of people who were following his story online.
With respect to social media, I was a little bit embarrassed because I was kind of like, okay, I'm already getting released so quickly. And you know, you can't help but read comments sometimes. And when I got signed, everyone was like, all right, well, they'll have a good, 1 year stint and then get released. And then it happened. And so I was like, oh man, like that sucks. And so for me, like at that point, I really didn't want to post on social media. It was like, okay, I kind of wish that almost never happened. Like it was cool that it happened, I guess, but I kind of want to move on from it. And I didn't want to address the elephant in the room. I didn't hardly post on social media at all during that time anyways. But for the few people that were keeping up with my story, I was like, oh, well, this is a bummer update. I'm done playing baseball, probably for good. And I'm going to move on with my normal life now after less than a year. So yeah, my gut reaction to that was like, this sucks. I don't want to tell anybody.
Yeah, it was May 12th. You posted that video explaining your release. 3 months after you get released. What was it about that day? Was it just something that clicked with you that you're like, look, we have to move on here? But it took you 3 months. So why that day deciding to update people and post that video?
Great question. For those months in between after I got released, I was trying to get picked up by another team and potentially go play in Mexico. There were a lot of potential contracts that I had where it was like about to happen and then fell through. And so I was kind of holding out, hoping that I can frame that experience as more of a pivot and less of a failure and be like, oh, well, I'm just playing for this new team now. Like, that's what we're doing. That's how I hoped to frame it. And then that just kept falling through. Finally, yeah, in May, I couldn't sleep one night and it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. And I was like, okay, I think I just need to get this off my chest. Like, cause I hadn't posted on TikTok since the year before hardly. And actually, no, I posted a video, I think, saying that I was going across the country for spring training. And that was like the last video I had posted. And so then I was like, okay, like I just got to come clean and just tell people, hey, this is where we're at right now. I don't have any good news or anything. This is just the update, Yeah. And so I made that video. Hey, this is where I'm at. This is what happens. You might remember me from the video last year, whatever. Posted that video and was met with a surprising amount of positivity the next morning.
The following morning, RAC's update video had over 500,000 views, giving him enough momentum to move forward with the next stage of his career.
That's what I needed. That's behind me now. I'm going to pivot and just start making coaching videos. So at that next day, I committed. I was like, okay, I'm going to make a coaching video every single day for the next 3 months and see where it goes.
Are you working during this time? Like, where are you at in life? Are you hoping that coaching becomes a career? How are you making money? Like, what is going on in the life of Coach RAC while he's also hosting?
I was still living off my signing bonus, and my wife and I had moved back in with my parents because we had gotten married in the off season. And so yeah, we were living in my parents' house, and I would go out in the backyard every day and hit the batting cage that we built with the other part of my signing bonus money. And yeah, I would go in the cage and I would film a video every day. And I remember telling Gigi and family too, I was like, hey, I don't know how this is going to turn into me making money off of this, but I do think that it's a projectable market. I think that social media is not going anywhere. People are going to keep scrolling. And I was like, I'm sure that somehow financially it'll work out as long as I put my head down and learn how to make content that's good. And so I knew that if I did it every day for the next 3 months, I would get good at it. And I already had the camera equipment. I didn't have to buy too much. And so I was like, I'm just going to send this for 3 months and see where it goes.
Now, RAC told me that his signing bonus with the Nationals was only $20,000. And after spending a good chunk of it building a batting cage in his parents' backyard, he felt the pressure to turn his content into a career sooner rather than later.
So I started making content in May, and by December, Gigi and I decided to move out of my parents' house. And that was a little bit of a leap because the income wasn't steady and making money on social media was still a very underdeveloped market. But yeah, I think December I made $5,000 that month, and I was like, okay, $5,000, we can make that work. We could live even in California, like we could make it work. So we ended up moving into an apartment, even though we didn't have much guaranteed income. And we were like, okay, let's get your parents to co-sign for us. I had to tell my wife's parents, hey, I promise we'll make this work, and even though it was such an unsteady thing, but I think it would have been January of 2023.
Okay.
Where we were like, okay, we can make this work.
And how are you making this money? Is it platform payments? Is it brand deals? Like, what does that break?
Yeah, it's a lot of things. And as I continue building, it's more and more avenues to keep producing money. But yeah, platform revenue is probably 20%. And then maybe another, I'd say the vast majority are brand deals. Some of them are long-term, some of them are short-term brand deals. Some of that is through affiliate marketing. And most of it though is me giving brand exposure for these other brands that have products that I like. So I'd say brand deals comprise the majority of the income.
But how could he be so sure that it would all work out as well as it has?
From this jump, I kind of knew it was projectable. I kind of knew it would work. And I didn't really know how, but I was, I'm raging optimist, I guess.
Yeah, where does that come from? Like, I guess you had one video that did well. And I'm not trying to say, obviously, you're doing really well right now. But were you looking at somebody and you're like, I could get to where they are, or?
Not really. I just, in my head, logically, it was like, well, all of these brands out there want exposure and for years have paid a lot of money through TV ads and billboards and different methods of advertising to get eyes on their product. And I'm like, okay, with social media, you can do that in an organic way. That's invaluable to brands. So I'm like, I think the market itself is so projectable that as long as I put my head down and focus on making really good content, then inevitably the finances will take care of itself. I'd say 1 year into content, I probably had 300,000 to 400,000 followers on TikTok, which I had grown from the 150 that I got from that initial first video. Probably had about 400,000 followers on TikTok. After a year of doing YouTube, I was at, well, funny enough, after 9 months of doing YouTube, I'd had 3,000 subscribers. And that was right around the time YouTube Shorts was getting started. And that was it. And then in March of last year, 2023, is when that just took off. I got over 100,000 followers in 1 month. And I didn't do anything different. I just kept posting shorts. YouTube grew really fast, started getting revenue from that. And by, I guess it would have been 1 month, so May of 2023, it was like, okay, I'm making way better money than I ever thought I could with this thing. And it only seems to continue trending upwards, and that has continued to be the experience.
Now at this point, it's not crazy to think that RAC's story could have just ended here, living his life as a full-time baseball TikToker. But just as he was finding his rhythm as a content creator, another opportunity came calling.
Yeah, so my friend Dalton Malden played for the Bananas a couple years ago, and him and I had played summer ball years back, 2018. So I had known Dalton, I was able to talk with him a little bit, and I didn't consider going back and playing. I was more than happy making content. I still enjoy content more than I enjoy playing. And but it was September of last year, and I was like, oh, you know what? I think this would be a cool thing to do. So just for the heck of it, I went to a tryout. A buddy of mine was like, hey, there's a tryout in your area in LA, like you should go. And at first I said, no. And he was like, oh, just do it, man, just do it. Okay. So I ended up going to the tryout, went really well, and ended up signing with Bananas in December of last year.
What was that process like, that trial process? And then how did you find out that you had officially made the team? Was it a similar feeling to the Nationals? Like rate that, put that in comparison for me.
Yeah, good question. It wasn't. It was very different. I felt like the Nationals thing was something that I had worked towards my whole life, and that was always the plan and the goal. And then that happened, and that was like such a satisfying feeling and accomplishment. With the Bananas, it was I went to the tryout, and after the tryout, I was like, I think I kind of crushed that. Like I think I had also a gymnastics background growing up, so I could do acrobatics and tumbling, and I was like, this just kind of fits. And I already do the social media piece, and so I kind of knew it was gonna work. And so going into the tryout, I was like, this is already kind of a good fit. I just have to play well, and I did. So after that, it was 3 weeks before they gave me a call and made an offer, and yeah, so that was, the feeling was very different. It was kind of like, okay, this is a cool business play. It'll make for great content and probably be good for brand exposure. So yeah.
You hear in sports a lot, players are holding out, players want better contracts. What is it like for Savannah Banana players when they get the offer? Like, do they give you a number and it's like a take it or leave it kind of deal? Is there a back and forth like there is with regular athletes? Like,
great question.
How does that work?
I think normally there's a back and forth, and I'll say this offseason there probably will be. Last offseason, it was kind of like I'm self-sufficient financially with what I'm doing with social media. So they gave me a number. I was like, all right, cool, sounds good. And after doing this for a year now, and I think I have some more leverage and so with that, like there definitely will be more negotiations. As this thing continues to grow, I think that's necessary. So yeah, there definitely will be some more negotiations and back and forth, I'm sure, this upcoming year.
Yeah. After moving him and his wife to Savannah in January and joining the team for its 2024 World Tour, which has included 6 sellout games in 6 different MLB stadiums, RAC quickly became one of the Bananas' most popular players. And nowhere was that more true than on July 13th in Washington, D.C., where RAC would play a game in front of a sold-out Washington Nationals park, home of the same team that launched him into this career just 3 years ago.
Yeah, well, I didn't even realize that it was on the anniversary of me getting signed. I didn't realize that until the week before. It was like, I had known that they were going to play at Nationals Park, and I had brought that up, like, okay, this is cool. Like I'd get to play at Nats Park after all this happened. And it was the week beforehand. I think I was on a plane with Jesse, and we happened to be sitting next to each other, and we were talking about like things we can do to kind of, for the show that can kind of commemorate me getting signed by them. And I went up and like pulled up the original video, and I saw July 13th and was like, oh, July 13th, like that's the day that we're gonna play there. And he said that, and I didn't even like think much of it. I was like, oh, okay, like that's cool, whatever. And then like a few days later, it hit me and realized like, oh, whoa, that's crazy. Like 3 years later to the day, we're playing in Nationals Park. And at that point, it was like, okay, I'm gonna go hit in the cage some more. I need to get my swing right. Like, there's one day I could pick that I could hit a home run. Like, I want it to be there. That'd be so cool.
So you hit the home run. What is going through your head as you're rounding those bases? Because I watched the rehearsals. There's already things you have to be thinking about in terms of, choreographed dances, or what's coming up next inning. So what is happening in your head as you hit that home run?
Oh,
you
man.
You didn't do script that.
You can't. Yeah, you can't script that. I mean, I literally, that day, I was like working in the cage extra hours and like trying to really hone in what my mindset would be at the plate. And like, so that was fun for me and very challenging. I was like, okay, I have one shot at this playing in Nats Park. My dad's gonna get to walk me up to home plate. Like, it's okay if I strike out. Like that happens, but like deep down, I was like, God, it would be so satisfying to be able to go to this park and somehow manage to leave the yard. And so yeah, like I was absolutely trying for that. It happened on my last at bat in the stadium, and that feeling was awesome. I honestly, after that game, I was like, you know what? I could hang up the cleats right now and never play another game again. And I'm like, cool. I've had my moment. That I don't think it goes up from there. That was freaking cool.
Ironically, this wasn't the first time during our full interview that RAC mentioned he'd be okay not playing anymore, which I honestly found a little odd for a guy in the middle of his prime playing on the most popular baseball team in the world. So I asked him about it.
Does playing for the Bananas scratch the same itch as playing affiliated baseball, I'll call it?
Yeah, in a way, it does.
Okay.
It's fun to be able to compete again in baseball in some capacity. I love baseball, and getting to compete again, specifically with hitting, is very fun for me. Defense, I never really cared much about anyways, but hitting, yeah, it does definitely scratch the itch a little bit. But funny enough, I think after playing a year, I feel like the itch is sufficiently scratched. It's like, okay, that's cool. Like, so I'm still kind of deciding what I'm gonna do next year because yeah, like I enjoyed it and it was super cool, but it also kind of gave me perspective that, okay, my passion is really making content.
Really? Oh, so it went the other way. I would expect maybe you play after not playing for a while, and that feeling of like playing in front of a lot of people and playing competitively, because it is competitive out there.
Right.
Would maybe make you feel like you want to play affiliated again, but you're saying you're sort of leaning in a different direction.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, it just kind of made me realize and appreciate how much I love making content, and I really want to double down on that.
If we lived in a world where RAC was just doing content, what would that look like? How would that look different than what it looks like right now?
Great question. Pace of life would be a lot slower.
Yeah.
I don't particularly like the noise. And we're busy traveling every single week. It's a lot to deal with. And as much as I enjoy it, I do enjoy kind of a slower pace of life a lot more. And I realize I'm young and only get this chance once. So I do want to also not take it for granted and enjoy it while I'm here. And I think I am doing that. That being said, like, yeah, I think the itch is scratched, and I would love to wake up, go for a walk, read a little bit, maybe play around in golf, and then go make some really cool baseball videos and be a fun source of wholesome entertainment for kids to watch. Like that's what I like really think about when I'm trying to sleep at night. So I think that's what it would look like. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, bro.
Yeah. Good luck tonight.
Thanks,
man. That was awesome.
Yeah. Thanks.